The Mario series has some of the most iconic boss fights of all time. At least in name they do. Bowser, the Koopalings, Kamek, Petey Piranha, the list goes on and on. But a big problem some people have with these boss fights is while they are fun, they're ridiculously easy. This is something that hasn't really changed a whole lot in both mainline platformer titles and spin-offs alike since kind of the beginning of Mario. Half of them just die in 3 hits when you jump on their heads, and the attacks they use aren't too tough to maneuver around either. But one Mario game would change things forever by adding one of the most notoriously challenging boss fights the series has ever seen. That is, of course, the Super Mario RPG Culex boss fight, a fight that has been expanded upon even further in the recently released Super Mario RPG Switch remake. By expanded upon further, I mean he's 3D now and even harder than he was in the original. So let's take a look at everything related to this out-of-place yet incredibly charming demon creature. First, his name. Contrary to popular belief, he is not named after the common genus of mosquitoes. At least that's the case for the Japanese version of the game. His name there is Kuristora, derived from the word crystal, which perfectly ties in with Culex's fighting style, using 4 different elemental crystals to attack Mario and his party during the fight. The Stara part of his Japanese name could also be a reference to the word star, with the potential intention of the full name being a mix between a crystal and a star. Crystals being a big symbol in the Final Fantasy series, and stars being a main symbol for the Mario series. In terms of Culex's physical appearance, the first thing that sticks out about him compared to any other Mario boss is his art style doesn't really match with any other boss, character, or thing in Mario's universe, looking very real-world human-like and demonic at the same time. Even his early concept art shows Culex was intended to look like he'd be out of place since the beginning. This art in particular makes him look even more ghoulish than he does in the final game. Said art taken from Kazuyuki Kirishima is the man who served as the lead enemy designer for Mario RPG's Instagram account. And that's because Culex is technically from the Final Fantasy world of games. His inclusion was meant to be a nod to the franchise due to the original developers of Super Mario RPG being Square, which eventually became Square Enix, aka the development team that's most notable for their work on the Final Fantasy games since 1987. These aren't the only nods to Final Fantasy Culex has. During the fight itself, the boss theme from Final Fantasy IV plays throughout the entire fight, followed by the iconic Final Fantasy victory jingle if you're able to take him down. Now, as for Culex's role in the game's overall story, well, it's kind of non-existent. Culex exists in this game solely to test your battling skills and for people to fall in love with his design. He's technically completely optional. Culex is located behind a dark sealed door in Monstro Town, an area that's accessible through natural progression shortly after acquiring the 5th star piece. To break said seal, Mario and friends must buy some fireworks from a mole in Moleville for 500 coins, where you must take said fireworks to a little mole girl right outside the house upon her request, where she will award you with the Shiny Stone, aka the key to unlocking Culex's door. While you can technically fight Culex before even beating the main game, it's heavily suggested to wait until later on when your team is higher level to do so, at least in the mid-20s or so because of the ridiculous damage output he has. I'm also suggesting it directly. You probably just shouldn't do it unless you have a death wish, then, go off, I guess. When Mario enters Culex's room, he will approach Mario and give a quick rundown on his backstory. Culex says he is a dark knight from a place called Vanda who wishes to fight strong warriors from Mario's 3rd dimension. Poor Culex is bound to 2D and wishes to break free of this to become stronger. However, some of Culex's dialogue is slightly different in the Japanese version compared to the English version. In Japan, he talks about how he's a timeless overlord made of pure evil, but is perplexed by Mario's 3rd dimension and wants to understand it more via combat. When he loses, he disappears alongside his pocket dimension until the day he can finally achieve unity in the 3rd dimension. Whereas in English, despite still being evil, he speaks in a much more noble way towards Mario and friends, leaving on good terms with them after losing, with both sides respecting each other's strength in battle. Now, onto the battle itself. The reason this fight is so tough is because the absurd attack variety and durability Culex has, sporting 4,096 HP on top of the 4 elemental crystals that can attack more than once per turn. It makes things a real pain in the ass at times. The fire crystal at 2,500 HP, which specializes in fire attacks like flare and flame wall. The earth crystal at 3,200 HP specializes in earth-related attacks like boulder and sandstorm. The water crystal at 1,800 HP specializes in ice-based attacks like blizzard, crystal, and solidify. Finally, the wind crystal at 800 100 HP, specializing in not only electric attacks, but status-related moves too. Half of these crystal's attacks are unblockable too, so you just have to sit there and take it. And don't even get me started on the wind crystal. The constant light bubble spam and general status ailment moves that also do unblockable damage trigger the hell out of me.
Come on, man, I don't want to die! Help me!
It is possible to defeat Culex without even needing to shatter all his crystals, but it's probably better to take all of them out first, or at least some of them out, just to make it easier for you to actually get your own attacks off, you know? Upon defeat, Culex will reward Mario's party with the Quartz Charm accessory, which halves the damage taken from enemy attacks, adds 50% more damage to the wearer's attacks, and prevents the wearer from dying to one-hit KO moves. For the original game's contents, many thought this game would be the last we'd see of Culex, which was the case for over 20 years. Now he's back and available to rematch just like some of the other bosses in the remake, in 3D, everything's finally come full circle. But it is super cool how for his first fight they decided to keep him 2D and use the original boss theme as opposed to a remix one. Quite a bit of stuff needs to get done before Culex can be fought in his ultimate form though. After Mario's gang defeats Smithy, he'll need to go on a little detour through Marymore and stay in the deluxe suite. Overnight, Gino will be alerted about something going on in Star Hill, so he suggests checking it out right after Mario wakes up, where upon arrival, they will see new wishes from previous bosses itching for a fight. Gino suggests visiting the Toad Stage to see what he knows about it, and he'll tell you Bellome is itching for a fight, followed by Punchinello, Booster, Bunt, Jinx, and Johnny. For Jinx in particular, it has to be the third fight against him where he forces you to use a triple move. After all those guys are taken care of and Johnny rewards them with the extra shiny stone, Culex's door in Monster Town will reappear and he's ready to fight again. When the fight begins, Culex will boast to everyone about his new form, saying how it's worthy of the three-dimensional world, the evil power at his disposal is in harmony with said world, and how everyone will bear witness to the power of his post-game content. Pretty on the nose line there, but still pretty funny nonetheless. Culex now has 9,999 HP, does more damage, and has 2 new attacks. Meteor, which will one-shot all party members out on the field if they're not already at full HP when he uses it, but if they are at full HP, they'll just go to 1 HP. Then Final Claw will guarantee to one-shot a single party member if they fail to block it. The Fire, Water, Earth, and Wind Crystals all have more HP by default as well, sporting 3,500, 2,800, 4,200, and 1,800 respectively. Oh yeah, you have to get rid of all the crystals this time around too, because if Culex dies while any of the crystals are still active, they will just bring him back to life, straight up to full HP, by the way. Anyone strong enough to prevail against Culex in his ultimate form will be rewarded with a Crystal Shard, an item that doesn't actually have any battle usage, but rather serving as an in-game trophy of some kind, to show whoever is able to achieve it that they were strong enough to overcome one of, if not the hardest boss challenge in any Mario game. Culex will also be forcibly transformed back into his 2D form after he's defeated, and tell you how many turns it took you to defeat him, where he will remain in his pocket dimension for more rematches if you choose to do so, as a way to test players' skills and see how fast they can beat him from here on out. It ended up taking me 29 turns with my whole team around level 28 with no lazy shell armor on anybody. Let me know how many turns it took for you guys to beat him if you've done it already. Culex truly is one of a kind, isn't he? Even someone like me who isn't even that tapped into the Final Fantasy franchise like that still appreciates the hell out of what Square did with this boss fight. I pray for the continued success of this remake so there may be more chances for bosses like Culex to appear in future RPG related Mario titles, or maybe even platformers. The closest we've came to a boss looking both cool and out of place like Culex was the Lord of Lightning from Odyssey. Give me more of that, please. Please. Of course, don't be a stranger to hitting that like button down below and subscribing for more content like this in the future. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.